guys, so we are doing a video that combines all four of our experiences with breastfeeding. Some of us were able to breastfeed and are still breastfeeding. Some of us were not able to breastfeed, and we just wanted to talk about what it was like. So for me, when Aiden was born, I felt like I wasn't producing any milk, and he was always crying. For the first 2 days, I literally slept nothing the first 2 nights that we were in the hospital, and he was latched on all night long, just sucking, and nothing would come out, and he was so hungry. And I felt so guilty, so when we got home, and he had a little bit of jaundice as well, so when we got home I said, that's it, I'm gonna give him a little bit of formula. And I did. I gave him a little bit of formula, and then I realized that I stopped trying to breastfeed. So for 1 whole week he had nothing but formula, and I would pump twice a day, or once a day I think I would pump, and I would get like 2 ounces when I would pump. So I thought, you know what, I'm just not gonna be able to breastfeed. That's just how it's gonna be. But then I remember one night I came online how to get more breast milk, and I read that you can take fenugreek, that there was pills, that there was cookies, that there was tons of things that you could do in order to get more breast milk. And I basically started taking fenugreek pills, drinking fenugreek tea, eating some oatmeal cookies that I found online, and latching him on all day long. So he would cluster feed all day long, and he would, I seriously struggled with it for 2 weeks where he wouldn't latch on, and I would just like get him to latch on, and I would just try and try. I went to a lactation consultant, and finally we got it down. For some reason, for him, the way that I was able to breastfeed him was both of us laying on our sides, and that's the only way he would latch on. And to this day, that's still his favorite way to eat, and it came to a point where I was giving him nothing but breast milk and no formula, and I was so happy, but I wasn't able to leave my house because he only wanted to breastfeed laying down. He didn't want to breastfeed any other way, just laying down. And if I tried to feed him in public, he would, throw the wrap off. And so I just literally had to stay home for a few weeks and not go anywhere because I wanted to breastfeed that bad. And then I realized, you know what, I need to leave my house once in a while. So I started introducing a little bit of formula. He started with 1 bottle a day, and ever since then, I did go back to work after that when he was 3 months old. So I would pump at work, I would bring the milk home, and he would have both formula and breast milk. And now that I'm working part-time and he's eating more, obviously you can see him eating something that I made him, I just breastfeed him whenever he wants. If I'm around and he has formula, whenever grandma has him, and we just, we make it work. And honestly, I think that it would have been so easy for me to just give up and not breastfeed him, but I'm so thankful that I did, because especially, this last week he has been so sick, and he wasn't eating nothing. He wanted nothing except breast milk, and I felt so thankful that I could still provide for him. But yeah, that was my experience. I hope you guys liked what the other girls have to say, and please subscribe, give us your comments, let us know what your breastfeeding experiences were like. Thanks guys, bye.
So initially my plan was to exclusively breastfeed. It didn't go as planned. I was only able to breastfeed for 4 months. When my baby was out of the hospital, we had to send her back into the hospital like a day or 2 later, because she was actually dehydrated because I wasn't producing enough milk for her. And I went against what the doctors saying. Well, the doctors kept saying like, oh, she's getting full, when I was in the hospital, like when I had just given birth. So I was like, okay, I trusted the doctor's opinions and the lactation consultants and so forth. My family was like, no, something's wrong here, she's not getting full, the baby's not acting, she was just fussy, constantly wanted to be on the breast. I was like, oh, the doctor said the baby's stomach's like a marble size. So I went with that. But she was actually getting really sick. She contracted a fever, took her back to the hospital the next day. It was a very difficult moment because I had to do like different surgeries, and so not surgeries, but like the spinal tap and procedures, I should say. But they gave her the bottle, and as soon as we got to the hospital, and they saw that she was dehydrated, and that was like a stab, because I wanted to exclusively breastfeed, but of course whatever goes for my daughter. whatever is necessary. So after that, I was giving her both the bottle and breastfeeding, and that only lasted so long because my supply runs started running low. I was trying to pump, but you know, it just, I think the most I filled up was like a 4-ounce bottle, and my baby was already drinking like 4 ounces like within a couple months. So it just eventually I just ran dry, and I stuck to to the bottle. Now I know there was a lot of like negativity, like, oh, breastfeeding's better than bottle, or you know, the bottle's better breastfeeding. I did both for 4 months. Of course, I wanted to exclusively breastfeed, but that didn't happen. And I don't think there's anything wrong with formula. And I think that we need to break away from the stigma and judge moms, like saying like, oh, formula. There's some people that breastfeeding is better, and there's people that the bottle is better. And it's not saying one thing's better than the other or so forth. It's just a personal choice. And I think as women, we have that choice, and sometimes we don't have that choice. Like, for example, I wasn't able to exclusively breastfeed, but that was my story, and I encourage everyone to feel proud of whatever choice and decision they go for and go with.
Hi guys, this is Amy from the Love Mom channel. My girls asked me to talk a little bit about my experience with breastfeeding and formula. Now, after having 3 kids, I still don't know the right answer, and I think it's safe to say that there is no right or wrong answer. There's thousands of books that'll tell you why to breastfeed. I mean, among the obvious is because it's healthier, and there's other books that'll tell you if you're going to bottle feed with formula, you know, how to do it, the types of milks that are available, if your baby's allergic to cow milk, what to use, etc. So again, there's no right or wrong answer, and I think that's the number one thing that I want to that I want to tell you today. But it's worth the homework and the research. We spend most of our lives trying to, you know, figure out what's best for us, and I think our child deserves the same amount of respect, so we should take the time to do some research. I'm a mom of 3. My first 2, I did not breastfeed because I was in a different place in my life at the time, and so my lifestyle didn't allow for breastfeeding. Now with my third, Charlie, she actually got to experience both. I breastfeed, but I've had such a hard time to figure out whether she's getting enough milk, because I feel like I'm constantly feeding her all day long, like she's always hungry. So it's been hard for me because my body does not produce enough milk. I don't know if it's because I have breast implants, I'm not sure. But, you know, it's, you know, again, I've made it work to where she gets a little bit of both. I know when I breastfeed, she feels comfortable. If I bottle feed her all day, I know at the end of the night, she's not going to fall asleep until I breastfeed. So again, that's my life and what's best for me and baby right now. Ignore all the outside noise. Ignore what the world tells you to do. There's no book that's going to tell you exactly what works for you. It's all about trial and error. And if you guys want to talk about it a little more or have more questions, we'd love to talk to you and hear all about it. Oops, sorry about that. We'd love to hear all about it. Send us an email. Bye.